like it's 10 years too late. They're writing letters right now to say we need a Palestinian state. You should have did that 10 years ago. Why are you doing it now? Whatever your opinion. I mean, I grew up in Detroit where separate but equal didn't work. I believe in coexistence. I don't believe in this shit, like you get more. My grandmother's only crime was being born Palestinian, so she's less than in her own land, in her own country. That's all she's known. But no one wants to hear that side, right? They've rationalized this like bullshit around like, well, those indigenous people, whatever, that's bullshit.
What's going on, man?
Nice to meet you.
Hasan, nice to meet you.
All right.
Hello.
There you are.
All right.
Welcome in.
Hello.
Hi.
Real quick, please.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Here, you want to grab this off me?
Yeah.
Grab this real quick. I'll take it off.
Here, hold on.
Are we doing it here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Hi, guys. Hasan.
We met at the DSA.
I think so, yeah.
Mikhail, I'm going to let Ben Jawbri text you about
Hi. Hi. Oh, my God. I'm going to put this on you.
Yes.
Or you can do it yourself if you want. It's just a easy.
Can you make me a really like a great
What?
auntie real quick? I know you get this shit all the time, but
Oh, you want to take a photo?
no,
What?
we don't, not me, no. I mean,
You want a
hold
video
on.
for
No.
a family member?
No, I want to call her and see if she answers.
Okay.
She's gonna freak out. Hold on.
Who are you calling?
Yanira. She's Sayu. You know Sayu.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
her daughter. She freaks out. I think she's they and them though.
Yeah, it's fine.
Your call has been forwarded to voice.
Okay.
Don't. Oh, no. I was just trying to hide it so you just show the number. It's the camera.
Okay,
We're live
you're
already.
gonna leave a message. You're
Okay.
gonna. Are we live really?
This is my friend Emma on the phone.
Hi, Emma.
Forwarded to voicemail.
Okay, just leave her a message.
You're welcome. This is
At the
Hasan
tone,
Piker. I did it for
please
you.
record your message.
Just leave her a
When
message.
you have finished recording,
Then I'll be
you
a
may
really
hang up.
popular auntie.
Hello. Wish you were here. Oh wait, it didn't. It call ended. It wouldn't even let me do
Fuck
it.
it.
We can
I
do
tried.
a voice. I
I
can.
tried.
I can help you do a voice.
Okay,
memo
she's
after.
calling.
Oh, she's calling.
Hey,
Hi.
it's Rashida. Guess who I'm with?
Oh my God.
Hi.
That just made me really mad. Yeah.
Hi.
If you have anybody you want to call,
Rashida's my favorite congressperson.
Mine too.
Look at that.
Political streamer of like all time. And
Oh,
I
wow.
cannot believe this
She
is
just-
happening while I'm getting
they adore.
contact for the first time.
Anyways, I told your mom to give me your number. That's why. So, anyways,
Oh my God.
I
I'm
know.
losing my mind.
It's on
Thank
video
you
or
so
something.
much.
Of course.
Yeah, it's
Love
live
you.
right now.
I'm just
Yeah.
watching the stream. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
But she's like,
Nice.
I'm watching the stream now.
Just don't.
No,
just-
I know. I got it. I promise.
I just want to make sure.
We were gonna sit over here. You want to sit here because I already got a little whole thing going.
Okay. We can do whichever, and
So
then.
you go live stream like that?
Yeah.
My
I've been.
staff doesn't let me go live stream.
Yeah, I understand why. I mean, that makes sense, to be honest. This is yours, I assume?
Yeah, I had this
or
one.
is it mine? Is it a gift? I don't know what's
I don't
going on
know.
here.
I think pink's your color.
Okay. No, I'm good. We're gonna get we already got. I walked in and immediately got inundated with pamphlets.
Oh, nice.
As soon as I came in, people were like, "Oh, you
What's the
gotta."
conference? Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Before we get started, because he's gonna set up real quick. So we do everything live. We do everything in real time. So we're just like doing real time production.
She's watching. Yeah, I think they're watching.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of people in here already. This is a little bit earlier than we normally go live at, but because you had a limited time window that we could do this, so I was just like, yeah, let's go.
I'm a congresswoman and I do all these other cool things and fight against fascism. And my son, Adam, who's going to be 20 on Saturday, nothing as impressive as me being with you right now.
That's crazy.
He's like, Mom. Okay.
No,
yeah.
they should
He's like,
know
"Please
you're the
don't-"
impressive person
He's
here.
like,
That's
please
not,
don't be cringe. And yeah.
No, you're the impressive person. You're the person that I'm excited to meet.
I love that you use your platform to really engage people like this. It's
I
nice.
try to do my best.
Yes.
So, all right, are we good?
We're good.
Is it framed properly?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see it there, huh?
Yeah. Is it?
Look at
You
me
look
trying
great.
to organize everything.
You look great. You look
Such
great.
a mom.
Yeah. All right, we're here with Congresswoman Rashida Talib, and I'm very excited. We've had a conversation before. We talked about how to save our immigrant neighbors at a time when seemingly it was a very necessary conversation that had to take place. You're here at the DSA National Convention here in Chicago. You just delivered a keynote speech, and how are you feeling? Do you feel emboldened? Do you feel powerful? Do you feel like we have a movement?
No, it's like being with family and just being with people that understand. You know, when my tears come down, it's because it's just been very painful. Just watching not only what Trump is doing, but just even before that, the political systems have been set up in a way that continues to silence us or continue to, I don't know, just make us feel less than in our own country. So it's just been overwhelming. I mean, just watching everything online now, the ICE, thugs, and just hearing all the stories. And I can tell you just images after images. You don't have to be an immigrant. You don't have to be Palestinian. You don't have to be a Democrat or part of a political party. People do not want to continue to watch people fund this kind of extraction and
This kind of
death.
violence.
Yeah, it's violence. And but here, I mean, I just feel like I'm with family. I mean, especially Metro Detroit DSA, I mean, they had my back when I first ran, and I don't know if the underdog is the right word, but a lot of people didn't know who I was, and they believed in my message of we're not going to allow corporations to infiltrate our campaign, and we're going to run on anti-poverty, right to clean air, clean water, and we won. I mean, by very little, but we created a movement, and now I'm there, fighting back against those that might have been there for decades and just don't get how hard it's been for so many of our families at home.
Let's just dive right into the main points of contention here that I feel like you probably get asked a lot. Yeah. The election took place. Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party lost. Yeah. And not only did they lose the actual election, not only did they lose the Electoral College, they lost the general population vote as well. What do you think happened?
I mean, one, I think it's very important for folks to know it's 7 swing states lost. But it's the first time since 1994 the Democratic Party favorability has dropped. I want folks to know when he was elected the first time in 2017, Democratic Party favorability just jumped, skyrocketed. That did not happen now in 2025, even though there's overwhelming opposition to the betrayal bill that literally kicks people off of health care and gives to the rich.
Yeah.
What I feel very much is there's been an abandonment to some of our core values. I grew up with a UAW dad. He was a Democrat. Didn't matter if there was a D next to their name, they voted Democrat because in many ways it was like hurt reduction. That person will hurt me less.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that party. But now people, the lack of trust, but the lack of really feeling like the party has their back. They didn't want a Palestinian Muslim that said the G word campaigning with Vice President Harris. They wanted a campaign with Liz Cheney.
Yeah.
And I don't, understand why they don't understand how terrible that was. And it's not just the vice president. We're not talking about, it's not her. It's the establishment, because the same people get latched on, got their claws into the next nominee, the next person that's going to run for president. You'll see it. It's the same names over and over again. And it's incredibly unfortunate. I said it in my speech, Hasan, like the same donors are funding both parties. And for me, the general population or worker, if you're watching this, you're thinking, well, do they even have my back? Which side are they on? And so I think it's a really important a moment in the Democratic Party establishment, and I hope they wake up, because doing the same thing over and over again is insane. We lost to a felon. We lost to Trump.
I know, twice.
Yes.
Yeah. After he already had, you can curse on here as well.
Yeah,
After he fucked everything up the first time, and then did January 6th.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party's performance was so
he
disastrous.
said everything he's going to do, and he's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Project 2025.
Yeah.
It's being implemented. Project Esther also being implemented, specifically on the boundaries of attacking free speech.
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw this unfold with Mahmoud Khalil and many others who were arrested, apprehended for thought crimes, things that Republicans have routinely criticized. And as a matter of fact, it's actually what I wanted to talk about. You've been in these circles at this point. You've been a politician for a while. And my question to you is, this is definitely a question that I have and a question that people in my community have, like, is it cynicism? Is it like the ineptitude? Is that deliberate? Is that by design? Because I go back and forth.
I don't think it's that simple. I think it really is denial.
So they're bubbled in.
They're bubbled in. When I tell people that over 50% of my colleagues are millionaires, they're like, what? I said, both Democrat, Republican. Like, if you talk to them, even a Democratic colleague, I remember this when the federal government shut down. Seriously, Piker, you know what? One of my Democratic colleagues goes to me, why are they in the food bank line? Why can't they just go get a loan? And I was like, what? You know, and again, it just, the longer, I mean, I've been there 7 years, the longer I'm there, I can see the disconnect. It's a class, right? They're in an income bracket that will never understand what it means to not afford that deductible when you go to the doctor, or, you know, to live, there literally pollution all around you, and your kid has asthma and you can't afford the asthma. All of that to say is there is this real disconnect. And, you know, when people say they're party elites and stuff, they're talking about very rich people that are in places of position making policies. And you saw it with the cryptocurrency. You know, let's talk about, I mean, the bill came through, and a lot of Democrats supported the Republicans' proposal. And you saw it. People that are part of the Progressive Caucus supported that proposal. It was the #1 funder of this past presidential campaign. They funded Trump overwhelmingly.
And he's doing
just
open
legitimized
grift.
them.
Yeah. He's openly grifting as well. Like I have some friends who like track a lot of the cryptocurrency stuff, and they can't believe how rampant the corruption is, and how in your face it is, like with the Donald Trump coin that came out, and then the subsequent DOJ and numerous other regulatory agency investigations that were dropped for people who specifically bought in the Donald Trump coin and was able to get like a meeting with Donald Trump. And
Pay
that's
to play. That's, you know.
it is. I'm Turkish. I grew up in Turkey. It's something that I've already seen. You know, even
I was
down
at the Pan American Congress, and I was just telling folks, you know, I was there with folks from Venezuela, El Salvador, Ecuador, Brazil. You know, they're all like, this happened to, like, you guys don't understand, this is real, and you guys need to understand what's coming. You know, fascism comes here. It's very clear that the unlawfulness of this administration is going to lead to breaking down even more rights.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know what if you talk to them, you know, they're mothers. I try to, like, okay, they're human beings, but it's that lived experience that they lack, or this disconnect. And who's in their ear? They're donors who are people that extract from the community. These are the same people that continue to want the status quo continue. They don't want to fix.
So you're saying it's that they're mostly bubbled in, like they're mostly in this echo chamber, and I think the process of being in Congress kind of pushes you away from the average person, which is ironic because, like, as a public servant, you're probably supposed to be more in tune with the values of your constituents.
They need to go home to their districts. They need to go in their community.
But even that experience, because we've seen town halls with like Mike Flood, and his constituents in Nebraska are basically like, we want to eat the rich. And they
want to tax the rich.
Yeah,
it's very popular.
They're screaming tax the rich. They're
Medicare
screaming
for all,
Medicare
very
for all.
popular. Paid leave, very popular.
Exactly. These are incredibly popular pieces of legislation, and they've been popular for a very long time, in spite of the insurmountable media attention on the opposite side, the constant propaganda saying, like, this is actually bad for you, because the media is also backed by these very same corporate interests that also fund both parties. And I guess I saw a piece of that when I was at the DNC, where I was supposed to be at the heart of what everyone was paying attention to, and yet I never felt so out of touch in my entire life, because when you're there, and you're trying to make the news, like you're trying to explain what's going on there, you are so out of touch, because every single person, like every single person that's there is just like invested in, I don't know, working through the Democratic Party machine.
It's just keep everything as it is. I've even heard one of the, I don't know, back in the day, political consultant for the Democratic Party. I think he was for Clinton or something. I can't remember his name. And he basically said, oh, everybody just don't do anything, Democrats. Just be still, let them miss us. That was his approach to fighting fascism, is, oh, get it. But even when we had the trifecta, we couldn't get Voting Rights Act done. We couldn't get some of the major elements that I think would have touched people's lives immediately. We couldn't get it done. I mean, I watched them botch the minimum wage increase. I've watched them continue to botch environmental protections. Again, throwing crumbs at us and saying, at least it's something. But our lives, it's not like we can get years back, right? I mean, you get sick, you get cancer. It's not like you can stop getting cancer. You need access to quality health care and not go bankrupt in our country if you get sick. And so I wish there was a way to explain anything, but everything that people might think right now out there of the bubble, the swamp, whatever the hell they call it, it is a part of its corruption, a part of its who gets to ears of the members of Congress, but it's also a part of the fact that many of them, again, are in an income class that will never, ever, no matter they have the gavel or not, understand the urgency of moving on these agendas that, to me, are nonpartisan.
Yeah.
These are...
Their kids aren't the ones getting poisoned
That's right.
when the new like AI data center is like opening up next door, and then the water supply is destroyed.
That's right.
So they don't have these.
They're
they don't
not
have these same
drinking
immediate
poisoned
concerns.
water. You know, they're just,
Yeah.
they're never going to understand. They think press releases, letters, you saw me say it, tweets, all this, like that's enough to make it. People don't fall for that shit anymore.
Yeah.
They know. It's like, well, how'd you vote? You know, I think I was the only one to vote no, absolutely no. My son was with me on the floor, my 14-year-old, and he's like, Mom, you're the only no. I said, it's 14 acres of Forest Service land given to a concrete company in Wisconsin. I'm not going to support, especially if the Forest Service Department is like, no, you know, they don't want to give the land, 14 acres to a for-profit concrete company in, you know, Wisconsin. But it's this whole idea, not in my backyard, right?
Yeah.
Not in my backyard. As long as it's not in their backyard, I don't give a shit. And I, you know, functioning that way loses again more trust within the Democratic Party establishment. I mean, we already know the Republican Party is way out there fucked. I don't know how to explain it to you. I used to talk to Republicans. They were decent, you know, they wanted, you know, small government, whatever. It was understanding. But now it's so extreme.
You feel you feel like there has been a transfer. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's undeniable that there's been a transformation where Donald Trump has rebuilt the party in his image, and not only just the party. Donald Trump has rebuilt American politics in his own image, like to suit his desires. That is for sure. I'm of the mindset that this is just a logical extension of many, many decades of Republican policy and reactionary framing on issues.
Yeah.
And that Donald Trump isn't necessarily an aberration, both in 2016 and certainly now, but simply the logical conclusion of Republican attitudes and Republican politics. So I don't know. Do you disagree with that?
I mean, I think, I don't know, you know, if it's the Texas kind of type of Republicans, but I know Michigan, many Republicans in Michigan that I have a lot of them in my district.
Yeah.
The conversations they have with me is, I'm so glad you talk about the Pentagon budget. Keep talking about the Pentagon budget, and they're deficit hawks, right? Like they're increasing the deficit. And right now, the anger that they have is mostly around that. Like, oh, well, the budget that they passed. Well, I'm just telling you, these are folks that are like, we're going to be bankrupt. And you know, but they can see that Trump doesn't give a shit either. He increased the deficit by over $3 trillion. But there are some that have these conversations. I mean, they come to my town halls. They're not interrupting. They're literally like raising their hand and saying, I'm glad you want to audit the Pentagon budget, the defense budget, because
Oh, you're talking about Republican voters.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I was talking about Republican colleagues of yours. I separate like Republican voters from...
No, my colleagues, out of due respect, and I know they're going to kill me, and my sister has heard me say this, I feel like they're sheep.
Yeah, no, for sure.
No, they won't get away from the herd, and if they do, they get kind of swatted at or called into the office.
Yeah.
And Dad says, stop around and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he throws some T-shirts and signs it or some swag to them.
Yeah.
But it is this like kind of going with the herd. That's even when they're like, oh, this is awful. I mean, I don't know. Epstein's really thrown a curveball.
Yeah.
That's been interesting to watch.
Yeah, that has been interesting to watch. The thing I wanted to talk about, that's something that we're going to get to. That obviously also Israel is another issue that I definitely want to talk about. But one of the things that I have seen is that there is this mechanism of whipping votes and making sure that you don't even have to extract concessions that the Republicans utilize effectively. Do you feel like the Democrats have failed to do so and command in the same way when they are in charge? Because one of the things that was very frustrating for me watching, Joe Biden from afar, even before his unlimited genocide policy, was the very fact that there were constantly like a revolving turnstile villain structure within the Democratic Party that would consistently spoil bills and would would present themselves as opposition to the Democratic Party's agenda, things that they ran on, which was, again, like you said, not even pushing the needle as far as it needed to be pushed. And I think we all know. I mean, you don't have to name names, but you can just wink at the camera. Maggie Hassan, Joe Manchin. There's a bunch. There's a bunch of people. Kyrsten Sinema was another one. There's a lot of like centrist Democrats. We don't have, that doesn't exist within the Republican Party to the same degree. You have the Thomas Masseys. You have one or two people who just have like one issue.
You know, but yeah, there are some, but again, they all fall in line afterwards.
Why is the Democratic Party unable to whip these votes?
I mean, I think it comes down to the fact that there are people like me and others that don't take corporate PAC money, and we don't follow the herd. We just can't. We just don't. I mean, I'm not.
Well, I wasn't considering you a spoiler. I was considering like the centrist Democrats who are not actually considered a spoiler at all, but they are the ones who spoiled a lot of Biden's legislative agenda.
They never get attacked. It's bizarre. I went and had press conferences in front of the White House because, President Biden produced more fossil fuels than any president prior. And it was a frustrating issue of the fact that, Earth is burning. We got to move with urgency on the climate crisis. And here we go. Democratic elected president is out there producing and saying, oh, we're doing all these great things in this bill. But you're producing more fossil fuels than any president in the history of our country. And I mean, licensing increases and everything. But Hasan, I can tell you that they sometimes have these names for members who pick up certain seats or are in states that might tend to be, 50-50, or they end up protecting them. They end up being about them because they're all about, and it's the best saying I've heard, was a person that was fighting for Voting Rights Act. She was an advocate, came to my office. She says, Democrats are really good about keeping power and trying to keep power, but not using power.
Yeah.
And these folks that are centric, they don't know where they stand. It depends on which town hall, what they say to different groups. It's like they completely, but I saw people in very, very Republicanish district stand for Green New Deal, like Katie Porter, and still win. She stood for Medicare for All and still won. And her district was very, very, leaning Republican, had a lot of Republican base. But people knew where she stood. She was anti-corporate greed. She was for fixing our health care. She was pushing back against price gouging. With these folks, Hasan, I can tell you, as soon as they walk in the room, I go, here it is. They don't give a shit about the Democratic base. They are talking only to Republicans in their district. And that has always been, I think, very much a hindrance in moving some of the stuff, important things, especially what DSA supports for working families. I mean, some of them were so angry that the UAW went on strike all three companies. They were like, why is he going all three companies? This terrible idea. And I was like, because the companies.
Well, they're using their leverage. Wow.
I know. Well, the workers were literally suffering. I mean, the whole bankruptcy and us bailing the auto industry out, and they sacrificed so much. And when they were making record profits, they said, F off. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And it took them striking all three big, the big three going on strike together at the same time. And, and colleagues, I don't think he should do that. I said, look at his members. That's why they elected, Sean, and elected kind of a new leadership, is that they wanted change right away. They felt like they were being shafted. And I couldn't believe the so-called, I know you call them centrists. I mean, the Republican-like folks within the Democratic caucus that were trying to push back against that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, let the workers do what they need to do. Don't be a barrier.
Absolutely.
Back off, let them do it. They're your residents. They want to fucking strike, let them strike. Do not get in the way. If you want to work for the big three, then go join their fucking board. Don't join Congress.
Well, they're going to do that after, probably.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Because that's usually what happens, right?
Like they just depressing when you talk to Piker.
They just quit, and then they're like, when they're done at the young age of 87, they'll go and get a cushy no-show job
That's
where
really
they
sad.
rake in $400,000 a year at least, if their immediate family members already haven't been hired by these companies. The way you've described this, though, I will say, has given me a little bit of confidence, because you make politicians seem like they're actually human beings. Because from the outside, I can tell you how we feel.
Yeah.
We look at them as like lizard people. We just don't, that's just a barely a human in a suit that is just a mouthpiece that could be replaced by a chatbot that just says, PR messages from Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. So,
but some of them actually hide. They even get money from these folks.
Well, you make it seem
people need to dig, because you'll see why they continue to vote for the defense budget that can't pass an audit, like 7 audits in a row.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, you make it seem as though they're malleable. You make it seem like we could persuade them if we go to their town halls and like bother them a lot. But there has been one issue that I think people have been screaming about for good reason since October 7, 2023. And you're Palestinian. And obviously this is important to you for humanitarian reasons. It's also personal as well. And yet, in spite of the overwhelming amount of support for the Palestinians, that is unprecedented in American history.
Never seen that.
80 plus years of occupation, or 77, 78 years of occupation.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. But in spite of all of that, a lot of Democrats are still holding on to this notion, this false idea that this is a salvageable relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
We're, of course, talking, for those of you at home, about Israel's genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza. And the latest numbers have shown that this is a 92 to 8% issue in the Democratic base.
Yeah.
92 to 8%. So any Democrat that still is not on Israel time is just unable to read the room, or there's another reason for it. And I feel like when it comes to stuff like this, a lot of politicians in the Western world don't recognize that this is going to have a much more dangerous consequence for maintaining liberal capitalist democracy, if that is their imperative. Because a lot of people are realizing, oh, there is no democracy at all. It doesn't matter what our voices, it doesn't matter how loud we yell. There's no change coming.
Like, because it's diluting the voice. A very loud bullhorn right now in each district, Republican, Democrat, whatever. They are saying arms embargo. They are pushing back and saying, stop it. We don't want you to fund this. Get the fuck away from Netanyahu. He's a genocidal maniac, war criminal. Why are we continuing to support this? Why, and again, even among the Republican Party establishment, you're seeing that move, right? But again, whatever their reasoning is, I can tell you, it's not just about the fund, the money from the pro-genocide, kill them all organizations. That's what I call them.
Yeah.
Those folks may be donating, and I know that it's a tremendous amount of money sometimes to candidates, but it's also some of my colleagues that I would consider progressive, but for Palestine.
Oh, yeah.
These are folks that are great on a number of issues. They're going to go out there and say, hey, UAE, what are you doing in Sudan?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Stop it, right? Or, whatever it is that they're out there speaking up about what's going on in Congo. But when it comes to Palestine and the Palestinian people, it's because there's an intimidation and bullying that happens. And I know, just so folks know, like, one of the second votes of this new Congress was to sanction the International Criminal Court for going after Netanyahu for their war crimes, for using, starvation as a weapon of war, for bombing hospitals and schools in 10, communities. And it was the second vote of Congress.
Yeah.
Second.
Nancy Pelosi once said, even if Congress fell apart, they would still get back up the next day and fund Israel. Like, even if Congress was destroyed,
I haven't heard
there
that
would
one.
still be money for Israel. It was one of those I don't know, I think it was like a JNA conference or something, a million of those things happen a year.
Well, I could tell you, so right after that, some of the new members, which I was really proud of them, they voted not to sanction the ICC.
Yeah.
Within a week, there was a text message to their Democratic base in their districts, because many of them were in what they call safe Democratic seats. They sent a text message, tell your Congress member, why did they expose our U.S. soldiers to a foreign court, and just wham it, call your member of Congress. And again, they didn't sign, hey, we're the pro-genocide, we want to kill all Palestinians groups.
Yeah.
But they came off, again, using our U.S. military. That's who. No, this was to uphold international laws and international human rights laws. But they intimidate and bully. These are members, Piker, that do not get money from the pro-genocide groups.
Yeah.
They don't.
So
you can look it up. They don't take money. But they are very much scared of the reaction from the group. They're going to primary me. they're going to come after me. They're going to call me anti-Semitic. I mean, it's that kind of intimidation and bullying that I think people don't pay attention to, that is also as dangerous as the donations that come in to their campaign accounts.
Wouldn't you say you, Ilhan Omar, and inshallah Zohra Mamdani, and maybe some others as well in the future, kind of prove that that doesn't work? I mean, it's not great. It's not great to be in your position. I know that, like, you
I've said
receive
this
it.
too.
Yeah.
Recently, a colleague said, you know, what do you have done? I said, I would have voted my district. And that person responded to me and said, you're right. I said, I bet you if you polled them, it would come back 60% in support of you voting for that amendment. And she said, nah, I think it would come back as 80%. And I said, but then why not vote your district? Vote your district. They will have your back. If anything, they attack you, use it. Show them that I stood with my district and I stood with my people, and they are attacking me for it. They're trying to bully me. People will donate. They will support that person. They will knock doors because they don't want to sell out. They don't want somebody that's bowing down to the status quo. They want somebody with courage in Congress. Congress has the worst approval rating ever since I've been there. And you wonder why. It's because people don't know which side you're on. You're iffy in this side. First of all, there is no strategy in genocide. Either you're against it or you're not. There's no strategy. This weapon or this weapons are weapons. The fact of the matter is, I don't take it from me. Listen to the Knesset. They are telling you with genocidal language, with ethnic cleansing language, kill them all, starve them. They're blocking trucks from coming in. That's who's in charge. You think it's mega? It's mega on steroids. The Likud party, Netanyahu, and all those folks have always wanted the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
And so even though there's a small minority of folks in Israel right now speaking up, they're being suppressed, they're being targeted. And all that to say, Piker, is like, my colleagues need to listen to their district and focus on their district, not the bubble of, you know, Washington, D.C., who's like, don't do that. They're going to do this to you, or they're going to do that. If you're going to function from a place of fear and be paralyzed on a very critical issue that is not a Palestinian, a Muslim, an Arab issue. It is an American issue. One of my colleagues told me a farmer in Wisconsin got up in his town hall, asked him, why the hell are we funding this? He was proud. He's like, good. Listen to the people who might not, again, share my ethnicity or faith, are telling you overwhelmingly, stop it. We can't be supporting this and the funding.
I think this played a major role in Kamala Harris's defeat. I don't know.
You can hear it from even young black voters in my district who said, I don't trust them. If they're going to let a genocide happen, I don't trust them. They were already in crutches. This just put some of them over the edge.
I think that Ta-Nehisi Coates said it best. If you can't trust them to stop a genocide, what makes you think that they'll save democracy here in America?
It was a 24-year-old Detroiter. She's got 1 year left in nursing school, and she didn't know who I was. I was doing like street interviews, and she brought it up. Of course, she brought Sudan and all this, and I was like, "Wow, at 24 years old, you know a lot. It's amazing."
Should have asked her if she's a HasanAbi head.
Maybe next time. And what's incredible is afterwards, I said to her, "Do you know who I'm Rashida Talib. I'm Palestinian." She goes, "Oh, you do look familiar." And I said, "But you just mentioned the genocide in Gaza." She goes, "Oh yeah, I've been watching it. It's awful, and I can't believe the Democrats are," because warmongering and genocide is bipartisan right now.
For sure.
Literally half of my caucus votes for the defense budget.
It's not just that, but it's like there's so much entitlement and so much arrogance coming from the Israeli envoys that are used to getting no pushback whatsoever, and then like uncompromising loyalty, that they just can't contend with that at all. So like any kind of questioning of like, why are you starving children, immediately causes them to fall apart. And I think a lot of people see that. And then the Trump administration also does insane things. I feel like half of the messaging coming out of like the admin right now is him just basically signaling to everyone that he definitely was on the Epstein lists, like he definitely was an Epstein friend. And then the other half is just like pushing for a bill that basically dictates that you go to jail if you're a nurse that at one point said free Palestine. So like when Americans see that, or when they see FEMA funds being revoked if you don't sign a loyalty pledge to Israel, of course they're going to be like, what is this? What is going on? And then there's two things that I think I try to warn liberals and Democrats in general on. One is that there is a major messaging void. There are unfortunately not many people like yourself in the Democratic Party, or at least in the eyes of the population. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene are filling that void of being like the anti-Israel voice. And I don't even just mean anti-genocide, I mean like straight up anti-Israel. There is a lot of animosity towards this country that we have always perceived as the most moral nation. It's insane to think, but there is a lot of anger, and I think it's the number one way to communicate earnesty as a politician, because it's one of those issues where it's like so overwhelmingly popular with the base, and it's just not even talked about in mainstream outlets, even though that's changing a little bit, but it's too little too late, and I think it's a little bit of ass covering. And then with politicians, it's on the Democratic Party side, politicians are just so quiet about this issue that everyone goes, "The fuck? What do you mean? This is not like a thing on your mind at all?" And I think
they will pull everything except this issue.
Yeah, and I've had conversations with the Pod Johns, the Pod Save America boys, before the election and after the election, doing an autopsy with them, and before the election, warning them on this issue. And the feedback I got from them was so strange. Like they were like, well, there's a lot of Jewish voters in Michigan that really want Israel to continue doing its unlimited destruction campaign. I was like, that's not true.
That isn't true.
That's not true.
Most of the student encampments I've been on and near are been led by Jewish students.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly.
Yeah, there's certainly a generational.
Yeah, they need to separate, of course, the faith from the oppressive genocidal policies. That's not. No,
they're doing.
When they say "not in our name," that's what they mean.
Yeah. Also, it's that kind of messaging coming from supposedly progressive individuals or like people on the liberal side create what I like to call woke dual loyalty, where you're just like, oh, this person is Jewish, of course they love Israel, and that's a good thing. Versus what someone like a neo-Nazi says, oh, of course those people love Israel, and that's a bad thing because they're Jewish. So like they're saying the same thing. So if like the overwhelming majority of sentiment that the public is hearing from these organs of media and people with institutional power is all Jews love Israel, all they care about is Israel, but everyone realizes what Israel is doing is heinous, what do you think that is going to do to like anti-Semitic feelings that the broader population has?
Yeah, I don't know what it will do. I just know that one of the things that my Jewish neighbors have been very, very active. I mean, I've never seen this kind of movement, especially among younger generation of Jewish neighbors who are very much trying to push back against that narrative, push back against and call it out. They call it out in a way that me and you could never do. In a way, because it's so authentic, it's so real. It's like, stop. This has nothing to do with that. I do not support a genocide, but I don't support apartheid. I don't support a country, again, that's using faith to drive out a whole people, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know what it's going to land on. I know, everybody knows anti-Semitism, and there's no hierarchy who's getting hated in our country.
Yeah.
It's all real. It's all connected. But the people that weaponize it, the people that are doing it in a way that is trying to silence us, my God, some of these organizations are actually saying JVP is anti-Semitic. There's a Jewish organization.
Yeah.
And that's all to silence, to bully, intimidate. And that's what I was talking to people about, is that's the way they've been trying to dismiss, but it's not working. It's not working anymore.
No, it's not. Not even a little bit. And I think like your success in Congress is certainly an example of that. I would say that even someone like myself, I have been an advocate for Palestinian emancipation for a decade plus of my professional media career, but like there were certain ways I always had to dance around this tightrope whenever I talked about this issue, with the full knowledge that like even though what I'm saying is truthful, I know that I will get deplatformed because most people don't understand it, most people don't know. And as a matter of fact, I saw this in the immediate aftermath of October 7 when so many people just simply could not hear someone saying, no, you don't understand. Israel is still the responsible party here for maintaining this incredibly brutal occupation that, of course, led to inevitable violence in retaliation. And people just were not ready for that.
They couldn't even say ceasefire.
Yeah.
Like, I was there.
J Street.
They couldn't even say, please. You couldn't even say, I don't care. They know how I feel.
Well, the reason why I brought J Street up is because they were one of the groups. It's a liberal Zionist group, and actually
This was an opportunity for them to
Yeah.
do the work that needed to be done and what they stood for, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And that's shameful. And it really is shameful that they didn't push. I mean,
And now 22 months in, the president came out and said,
yeah.
maybe it's a genocide.
He said maybe, though.
Yeah.
So one of the things that was really, we're taken aback is Congresswoman Cori Bush and I doing the ceasefire resolution in October, to be called by the press secretary of Biden as repugnant and disgraceful for
Yeah.
doing it. It was so bizarre. I had local electeds, council members, school board members, again, didn't share my faith or ethnicity, reaching out to our office saying, hey, I have this resolution, can I show it to you? And then they come back to me and said, look, the president of the board is like, can we take the word ceasefire? Ceasefire was a bad word. It was so fucked up. And nobody said, don't say de-escalation. What the fuck are you talking about? The answer to war crimes is not more war crimes. War crimes are war crimes. But it seems to me war crimes against the Palestinian people, there was an exception.
For sure.
And it continues to be exception. But nobody calls it anti-Palestinian racism or rooted in Islamophobia, right?
Yeah.
They don't say it, but I see it. I hear one of my New Jersey colleagues in caucus when one of my Jewish colleagues got up and said, we need to be careful with our rhetoric. She was really being sincere, and she was trying to include folks as we talk about saving lives, no matter faith or ethnicity. And he got up in the back and said, well, they're all guilty. No one censured him. No one targeted him. No one said anything. Everybody kind of was like, oh, but then nobody did anything because why?
Yeah.
Because he,
Congressman
again,
from New Jersey, I think.
yeah, you know who it is.
Oh, I know who it is. Oh, I know. I'm paying close attention.
I could just tell you at that moment, I can never look at him the same way because he obviously believes that we should all die. That's my personal opinion. He can attack me on it. But what I heard when he said that as a Muslimah, as a Palestinian, is die.
Yeah.
All of you die.
It wasn't Cory Booker, but he's also super pro-Israel, obviously. No.
And it's important, like the Cory Bookers of the world who sign letters, who say things in Twitter and everything. But when it comes push to shove, it's that vote that matters the most. And if you're going to go up and vote against a joint resolution of disapproval
Yeah.
of sending an arms embargo, I mean, how many was it? It's 26 or something Senate members? That's incredible.
Yeah.
And
it was 17 the first time, and I
Yeah.
think this time it was like 26. But that's not enough. That's
I know.
insane that
But
only
for
26 senators
for
are
me,
saying.
though, at that moment, watching that again grow and watching people like that say, oh, I feel bad for the do something.
Yeah.
Say, it's not just say something. That was 22 months ago.
Yeah.
Right now, it's your vote that matters. Arms embargo, vote to end any form of weapons to a war criminal in a genocidal state right now.
So, judging by what I've heard from you as a congressperson, I feel like if people were still directing pressure campaigns and letter writing campaigns and messaging campaigns and calling their congresspersons with overwhelming force, then maybe you could potentially break through, and it's not this other sinister purpose where it's the third rail that nobody touches and everyone is too scared. But the reason for why they're scared is because they think falsely that their base actually wants them to continue doing a genocide. That's what you're saying.
I think there's a handful of colleagues that I know for a fact they know their base has moved on this, but they're still afraid because of the bullying, intimidation. Again, I'm not going to sell my soul to hold a seat. It's just not in me. If it happens, it happens. I actually miss the nonprofit sector, but I can tell folks this: don't do the actions in DC. Do them in their backyard.
Yeah.
Show up in these spaces where they're expecting you to ask about, of course, the Trump and the fascist regime, but you should also ask why certain members voted a certain way that you disagree with. It's important and it's critical because what's shaking them a lot I got a text message recently. What's shaking them a lot is like, oh my God, they're protesting again. I said, because the images of the children are so bad, I told him.
So they do see the protests.
Oh, yes.
That's good.
In their backyard.
You know what to do.
I say this important, it's very important, in their backyard. You know, one of my friends is like, hey, I'm gonna do this billboard. I said, why are you doing there? Why are you doing the billboard there? Is that where that person will see it? Like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. I was like, yeah, don't do it do it to spread the overwhelming feeling that, again, our member of Congress should be listening to us, not special interest groups and then genocidal groups. You should be listening to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, Piker. I'm an organizer and I'm a social worker, and I'm telling you, as somebody that has organized around immigrant rights, you know, I would show up to these members' place, and they would be shook because they weren't expected to be asked this, because everybody thinks, oh, there's a D next to the name, of course they're doing the right thing. Guess what? Genocide is bipartisan, and Democrats started the genocide under Democratic control, trifecta, and it's now continued under Republican control.
Yeah, no, they set the stage for a lot of the things that Trump is allowing to continue to happen right now. And everybody goes, oh, how could it have gotten to this point? It's like, well, you did it. You voted, or you refused to vote for it. You refused to communicate the desires of the overwhelming majority of your own base. You lost the election because you wanted to continue the unlimited child murder.
Biden wasn't negotiating the ceasefire.
Yeah, that was another thing. And the media certainly, I don't even want to say abdicated his responsibility, because like this is the responsibility of corporate media, is to basically defend the State Department and its interests no matter what, as they did with the Iraq War, which was unjustifiable and completely illegal. But they defended it. They defended it on that very same principle.
I mean, just look at the United Nations and the ICC. Anyone who dared to enforce international laws onto the government of Israel was attacked, was targeted, even personally. And my colleagues watched this happen. I mean, look at that. Now you see the flip side. It's happening within our, who's going to control the White House.
Do you feel like the more like younger, bold, anti-Zionist congresspersons, including Summerlee as well, or Zohran Mamdani, not receiving any penalties whatsoever for their staunch opposition to Israel's genocide, but instead, as a matter of fact, potentially winning favor with broader constituencies? Do you feel like this could inevitably cause some Democrats to read the room a little bit better, or maybe recognize that like the bullying and stuff is just completely astroturfed, and that no matter how many
don't let them bully you.
No matter how many
they're empowering the bully.
Yeah.
Instead of pushing back against the bully, they're empowering them.
Yeah. There's protection in numbers. And I feel like if there was a majority of Democrats that finally came out and said this, and the Democrats basically seized control over this message, which is, again, not even like a 50-50 issue at this point in both independents and also even Republicans. Like the majority of Republicans are anti-Israel at this point. It's like unimaginable. And yet there's no motivation from the Democrats to say something about this, and it only makes people feel in this time of need that they are not up to the task of fighting against the Trump administration. Because for a lot of people, for a lot of Americans, they look at this injustice and they see the Democrats' inability to even communicate on that. And that isn't the primary focus of many Americans, even though it is certainly a very important one for a lot of young Americans, especially, and even older Americans now as well. But that is yet another glaring example of the Democrats' ineptitude and their inability to see the desires of their base. It just makes them look like they're completely out of touch and completely elitist and completely invested in their own careers. So that's the reason. That's the reason why their approval ratings are so low.
I know that. I agree.
Yeah.
I saw it when I door knocked in a very challenging city outside of Detroit, and it's a predominantly Black community, and I saw it. I said, we're in trouble. And no one wanted to listen, no one cared. And it was a combination. I really think the Democratic Party establishment support for the genocide opened up a real conversation about the soul of the party and where they really are. And it's made people just be like, I'm not voting, I don't care. And if you can look at it, these are folks that always came out in the presidential or national election, they stayed home. But
Yeah.
it's a combination of a lot of things, of folks just feeling like their voice doesn't matter, that because the government's supposed to be about people and they just feel like they don't give a shit about me or my life. They don't care where I stand on this issue. And that I told folks, people are really angry with us. They're really angry. I mean, I'm getting yelled at, like really angry with us. And folks are just shrugging it off and don't understand why.
Because they're used to it. Because they care more about their corporate benefactors than they
I just
do
feel
about.
like they just, again, like the young lady said, Democrats are really just trying to get the power back, right? The gavel. But they're not going to use that power when it comes, and it's going to be the same cycle over and over again. But there is a base of folks that are done with the Democrat. You can hear it, you can feel it.
No, there's people asking
30,
Hakeem
they're not
Jeffries like put his body on the line. You know,
Yeah,
that's important. I think he should hear that. He should put
Replen-
his body on the line.
replenishing, like you could see it. I mean,
Listen
even-
to your brother Hakeem. He's way cooler than you, and we share the same name. He's got his. Do you know Hasan Kwame Jeffries, his brother?
no.
He's a Marxist professor in New York. Loves Zoran. Hakeem noticeably absent from the conversation for some weird
That's
reason.
what he meant.
Yeah, Hakeem, listen to your brother.
Yeah. I mean, sorry.
Maybe he's watching.
Yeah.
He's a tier 3
I'm
subscriber
sure
of mine.
it's going to get clipped and I'm going to get called. So
Well, I mean, it's true. His
I know,
brother
I
Hasan
didn't- I-
Kwame
seriously,
Jeffries is
I
a
know.
big.
I know, but I think it's just, everything you're saying is true. I just hope people that are listening and young folks, just being engaged, no matter if it's the voting, because voting should be voting plus plus. I just don't want you to feel like there's no place for you all to be able to use your voice and push back. One of the things I've learned in watching the student encampments, and I've heard the history of the anti-war movement on campuses, it's been incredible. I've watched one university flip and now doing some transformative things like getting more scholarships to kids from Gaza to get them here so they can have a future. All of that to say is there's so many ways beyond Congress and beyond legislation and beyond Election Day that we can really transform our country and push back against, the status quo. I just find your place. I know I'm at the DSA convention and there's a place there, it may or may not be your thing of, being among folks that are just like, tax the rich and, pushing back against the 1% and capitalistic schemes. But if it's around education, if it's around civil rights, if around just your being able to have the First Amendment right to speak up and not be targeted or intimidated, and that continues to happen to so many young people, is find your collective folks that will have your back and push back. And so, I mean, look at this platform. This is not mainstream media, and you have millions of people that will follow, the conversation and learn and use it to fight back against all of it. I just don't want people to be so pathetic, like they just don't feel like they have any power. I come from Detroit.
Yeah.
I promise you, come every corner is a reminder, like there's murals, or a reminder like it wasn't the city hall or the governor or the elected people. It was them. They marched, they boycotted, they fucking blocked shit. They withheld their labor so they can get Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act, the right to organize unions. It is literally the home of the struggle to unionize workplaces. People left, couldn't leave their work. They died in the workplace. People left and couldn't even survive with the pennies that they were getting from these, the elitists and the boss folks that were running these big companies. And so collectively, they were power. And it's something to learn from that. And I've constantly reminded people of that. I'm in Congress and I find sometimes I feel so incredibly helpless. I'm there, I'm pushing back. And I thought, okay, I'm going to bring the movement on the inside, and I do my best. But I watch people out there are way more powerful than I am right now. Like they don't realize, like I'm inspired. I'm like, keep it up. Because it's getting loud. They can't ignore you all. I watched them so upset. Oh my God, I'm getting protested again, Rashida. I said, I ain't related to them. I don't know why you're calling me. They look like your constituents. Maybe you should go meet with them.
Yeah.
Like they're sending me like videos and shit, Piker. Like I look at them and I'm like, I'm not in charge of student encampments. I'm not in charge. I don't live in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I live in Michigan. And it's just so bizarre that they want to bottle it up and make it a Palestinian issue, an immigrant
Yeah.
issue, or a Muslim issue, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's
No, it's a
Americans.
people issue. There's
Yeah.
I go out to these protests all the time,
Yeah.
and there's people from all different kinds of backgrounds, all different walks of life. It's solidarity and display.
That's right.
And it has nothing to do with like one specific group that's like fighting for their own rights. Like that kind of like sectarianism does not exist.
They freak out when the veteran gets up in committee hearing and says, I'm a veteran, I fought in Afghanistan and Iraq, stop fucking funding the genocide. They're like, they don't know what to do. It's like, wake up. America is not with the majority of members of Congress. And
Yeah.
they need to wake up. They need to understand they're not voting their district. And again, many of them like, oh, I'm against this and against that. But again, they're always progressive and always on the left on this issue and this issue. When it comes to Palestine, they pause, they paralyze. And I really believe it's rooted in anti-Palestinian racism and dehumanization and
sure.
dismissiveness, because for years they were given permission to do it for so long. And now American people are like, nah, we ain't gonna let you keep doing this.
Yeah, Randy Fine is a fantastic example. This is actually something that I find really horrifying. But I mean, I'm used to it. I'm Muslim myself. You know, I'm used to just like tanking it. There's not really anything you can do when people masquerade, when people couch their like reasonable fears.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just like, the way I see it is no different than like a racist white person being like, I'm afraid of black people.
That's right.
But when someone says that in America, where, you know, anti-blackness is obviously foundational to this nation's development, and it's become significantly more sophisticated and insidious in the ways that it repeats itself, like there is, if someone were to be as overt in their anti-black white supremacist sentiment, people usually would understand that and go, I know what I know what you're doing
exactly.
there.
They see right through
but
it.
when someone says like, I'm scared of scary Muslims, like I'm scared of Arabic words, I'm scared of the word intifada, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of that. Like there is no mechanism of pushback against that, where we just have to like sit there and be like, oh, you're scared? Oh, I'm so sorry. I guess I should apologize for your racist f***ing fears. And then on the other hand, you have people like Randy Fine who are literally going, please, more genocide. I love
Yes.
genocide. Genocide is my favorite thing
Yeah.
to do. Genocide and
Flatten
eating
Gaza in the
hamburgers.
parking lot. I mean, I've heard it all.
Yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, my mere existence, you know, I ran to go after corporate polluters, dude. Like, you should see, I totally, like, you should see, I used to file injunctions against the Koch brothers dumping pet Coke. I was like, we deserve clean air. I get in there, and I've never felt more Palestinian my whole life. And it was surrounded by Israeli flags, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was so naive. I didn't realize it. But now I just feel like my mere existence agitates them.
Yeah.
Because I'm equal. I'm equally elected like you were.
Yeah.
I'm get a vote like everybody else. They can't, they can't see that. And even as I continue to push back against some of the narrative from both sides of the aisle of kind of making Palestinians disposable, like this like has to happen, you can see that, again, they're making an exception because of the ethnicity.
Yeah.
And it's like when I say save lives, no matter faith or ethnicity, I am talking to them and trying to get to them and understand a child is a child.
Yeah.
But some of my colleagues, one Democratic.
They're like, some kids, bad vibes.
Well, no, they were
That's what they're
born.
saying.
No, one of them said, "Well, it's not my fault. They're born into a family that's going to kill." And I was like, "Whoa."
No, that's
But
straight
no one
up.
calls that shit out. And it's not like they're hiding their racism or their anti-Palestinian racism or the racist tropes that they continue to spew out. They do it in a way, again, to justify their positions.
Yeah, that's horrifying to have to deal with, especially amongst your peers who have tremendous amounts of power, and ultimately the incredible power to stop all of this.
Yeah.
Because like without our unlimited support, without America's unlimited support, Israel cannot do a genocide. Israel cannot be this belligerent entity that destroys all of its neighbors for a greater Israel project that they are clearly championing, openly communicating their desire to do so.
I kept saying that to people. Like,
So
they're like, Rashida, I don't like Netanyahu. Great, then why'd you send him $14 billion?
Also, it's not just
Like, what-
Netanyahu. It's not.
I know that, but I just, when they say that to me,
Yeah.
I just look at them and say that. And then some of them say, I'm for a two-state. I said, well, you did shit, to even get to that point.
Yeah.
Like it's 10 years too late. They're writing letters right now to say we need a Palestinian state. You should have did that 10 years ago. Why are you doing it now? Whatever your opinion. I mean, I grew up in Detroit where separate but equal didn't work. I believe in coexistence. I don't believe in this shit, like you get more. My grandmother's only crime was being born Palestinian, so she's less than in her own land, in her own country. That's all she's known. But no one wants to hear that side, right? They've rationalized this like bullshit around like, well, those indigenous people, whatever, that's bullshit. It is absolutely ethnic cleansing. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like even if they weren't indigenous people, which they are, but even if they weren't, it would still be unconscionable cruelty to an outgroup, right? Like the treatment of Palestinians as rootless cosmopolitans that don't have like that.
My grandfather used to tell me stories that because a lot of them didn't have access to education, they were farmers, both my grandparents. But he's like, he'd like, Cito, listen, they would think that we're savages, that we're dumb, that we're nothing. We're just, they would paint them out to be these angry Arab people. Yeah. So they could justify killing them. Yeah. And it's like, oh, we shot them because they were going to shoot us first. It's like, I was unarmed. I didn't have anything. And it's,
a practice that still continues.
I know. Yeah. But, God rest his soul, like my grandfather always was like, I don't understand. I used to pick olives next to my Jewish neighbor. There was no, Friday was call of prayer, Saturday was Sabbath, and Sunday was church bells. That's how we existed. And then, folks came in and had this like, whatever structure that they wanted to put in to completely erase and remove people. It's sad. You go into villages, you can still see the stairs to the homes that were demolished. Yeah.
No, it's devastating. And that what you're describing here is I think an area in this conversation that most Americans are still not privy to. Yeah. And I don't even expect people to like recognize the totality of this violence and the violent practice of like maintaining an apartheid structure for so long. But I do think that the environment is changing in unprecedented ways, in ways that I never thought was possible, where so many people are, up in arms.
They know where Palestinians are now. Yeah. I mean, so many people don't know what happened in 1948, but they know what's happening is wrong. Yeah. And I just smile. It's a sad smile, but I'm just silent. I was like, thank you. Like, you're like, but why are they it's just overwhelming like support now. I mean, in 2018, I went door to door and people are like, what are you? I'm like, I'm Palestinian. They're like, oh, my doctor's from Pakistan. I was like, I would then correct them. And, but now it's like, how's your family? Is everything okay? I can't believe we're letting this happen. Yeah. And they also don't believe it's just Netanyahu. They believe in that it is absolutely a violent apartheid state.
No, it's an ideology. Zionism is an exterminationist ideology built around ethno-religious supremacist values. So when people say like, oh well, I'm a liberal Zionist, like I want there to be a Jewish.
I've heard that so many times.
I'm a liberal Zionist. I want there to be a Jewish ethno state. I'm like, okay. Like, what do you mean? It's like saying you're like a liberal Nazi. You want an Aryan majority ethno state? Like, what are you talking about? There's people there. Yeah. There's people there that Israel is occupying the lives of. There's people there that Israel is like ritualistically destroying the lives of, and all at the behest of this project. There is no like liberal angle here. And then post October 7, it basically showed that reality. There is a poll that came out.
People are seeing exactly what the Palestinian people were screaming and saying, please, do you know this is what they're doing?
There's a poll that came out from the Israeli Democracy Institute. Mm-hmm. They routinely poll Israeli society. Now, Israel, given its ethno-state status, has two designations. And I'm telling this to them. You know this already. Yeah. Arab and Jew. Those are the two designations for Israeli society, even though there is a ton of Arab Jews, they're classified as Jews, and everyone down to Armenians and Christians and Muslims who are not Jewish in Israeli society are declared Arab, okay? Those polls show that at this stage, 79% of Israeli Jews say they care either not at all or not enough about the starvation that's going on in Gaza. Only 0.8% of Israeli Jews have said that they don't know anything about it.
I saw something with 80 at one point. Maybe it was a while ago. But
Yeah. So clearly, this is a manifestation of extremely right-wing, reactionary, fascist ideology that has overtaken Israeli society, has captured Israeli society, and this is part of the reason why I even tried to make pleas to politicians directly when I was talking to them in the lead up to this election, where I was like, just do it from a partisan position. Just say Netanyahu's bad, say Netanyahu's a bad guy. He's pro-Trump. Just like anything, try to angle this if you don't care about the humanity.
Some of them are so two state. I'm like, while walls were being built and apartheid structures were expanding, I said to them, okay,
but
you
Netanyahu says no state.
That's right. But Piker, that's exactly what I told this member from the Midwest. She was like, well, I'm for a two-state, and I know you're not, And I said, well, no, I believe in coexistence. And she goes, well, I said, no, that's them trying to silence me and explaining that, again, growing up in a black city, I know what this means. I know it's about dehumanizing them, making people less equal to rights. And I said to them, well, if you believe in a two-state, why are you giving money to a government that doesn't believe in a two-state? You're literally funding a person that believes in one state, but only for one faith, in elimination of anybody that isn't. And she just looked at me and she never thought of it that way.
How much more time do we have, by the way?
I have no idea. I never keep my time.
Because I know you're
Do you people keep your time? Are you?
I want to keep going for as long as you want to, because there's a bunch of other.
You love this? You like doing this?
Oh, this is what I do for 8 hours a day. This is great, and it's always great to have someone who's like-minded as well.
Okay, so 2:50. We got 10 minutes.
Okay. What do you say to people? I tweeted out recently, a while ago, and this is something I've talked about quite a bit, that all of this could have ended with one phone call, and yet people always turn around and say, that's not true. Do you think that this is, given the unimaginable influence and power that we have over the Israeli government's affairs, specifically when it comes to Israel's war and war crimes, do you feel like, the one phone call is symbolic, obviously, but do you feel like...
Yeah, I've seen previous presidents do it, right?
Yeah.
We've seen
Biden did it.
I'll tell you, I've heard Carter's done it. I think there was a moment where
George W.
even
Bush,
Bush and Reagan did it. They put they used the leverage, the powerful leverage of that phone call, what it means to make that phone call. But it's what you say, right? I think there is a point where, I see some of the folks that can make that call, do it, and then retract. It's very bizarre, but there's no way if the government of Israel loses support from the U.S. government for the genocide, for the continuation of forced starvation, it would end. I believe that.
For sure.
Yeah.
70% of all munitions, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
I'm using this
weapons are
term.
Weapons, but okay.
Yeah, I'm using this term deliberately
But I
because
just feel like it's just building into this.
I know it's
narrative.
coming up for my second question. That's why I'm saying this. 70% of all weapons since October 7 that Israel's used, both offensively and defensively, have been directly given to Israel by the United States of America.
Yeah.
There is no other country that Israel could go to make up for
If you go to the
that
Al-Aqsa,
amount.
if you go to the Al-Aqsa, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, there are casings where if you go up, you can see it says made in the USA.
Yeah.
It's just because it wasn't the first time, right? This is not the first time. But I think they do that to show people that's who's funding the violence and the aggression on the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely.
So
I can tell you, the majority of all the funding, the primary financer of the genocide is our government.
Yeah, absolutely. There has been some contention, which I'm seeing now, where Democrats are basically finally trying to come around to being well, maybe no offensive weapons, right? Well, let's just stop the offensive weapons. And it's you said weapons are weapons. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
They're weapons. The fact of the matter is, you have a country right now, didn't bomb only Gaza, bombed a number of other countries, just poking and poking and poking and trying
Lebanon,
to drag.
Syria,
Oh my
Iran,
God, you should see
Iraq,
what they're doing in Lebanon.
Yemen.
And a lot of my families are from South Lebanon. And I mean, every single moment around there, and it's used to enable and basically continue the status quo. That's exactly what that's about.
Yeah.
And no matter what folks, label it or the fact, either you want to end it or you don't. And the way you do it by stopping all arms, no matter what they label it at. It's ridiculous. I don't know what the strategy are. You either want it in the genocide or you don't.
Yeah.
No weapons, zero, what you label it at. As.
We don't give an Iron Dome. We didn't even give an Iron Dome to Ukraine, and they deserved it. Like they needed it, and Israel said no, and we didn't give them the Iron Dome, and they were being pummeled by Russia. We certainly don't even entertain the notion of like the civilians that are living in Russia. There's civilians living in Russia. Mm-hmm. They're getting a counterstrike by Ukrainian drones and whatnot. Do they need an Iron Dome? Are we pushing for an Iron Dome from them? Or are we giving them defensive weapons? That's never existed in the history of any conflict. And of course, people will say Israel's our ally.
But you got to look at the arms sales. You got to look at everything. That particular vote that came to the House, but look at the arms sales that, 26 senators tried. That part of that arms sales is all of it. It's just weapons.
Yeah.
They had the courage to say, no, we're done.
Yeah.
We're going to use the power of our vote to say to the Israeli government, the U.S., or their districts, their respective states, do not support the continuation of the slaughter of a whole people.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to talk about that's not directly related to foreign policy is this overall attitude or overall optics of the Democratic Party that they're not fighters, that they just want to roll over and show their belly and cower in fear and then hope that people forget that they did that and then not vote for the Republicans and then maybe come midterm they'll vote in Democrats in power. But one aspect of this has, I think, unfolded in the redistricting conversation that's taking place right now. For those of you who don't know, Texas is redistricting, or Donald Trump has given the primary directive to Governor Greg Abbott and the Texas state legislature to redistrict Texas so that they get 5 new
He specifically
Republican
said, go give me 5
seats.
seats.
Yeah, he said, I want 5 new Republican seats. Why is it that every state that's run by a fucking Democrat, why do they all have independent commissions and every state that's run by a Republican does not, so they can just do that?
Well, I could tell you, look, Michigan, it was very politicized. It was backdoor dealings. And the people, voters, not politicians, it's a group in Michigan, collected thousands of signatures to get rid of the legislature having control over it. And it was good because it was transparent, unlike in the past. But I just want you to know it was the people on the ground that voted for it.
I know. There's Common Vote, I think, is another one, right? It's there's a bunch of these kind-hearted people.
I know, but you should have seen the congressional district before. We had an independent commission. They were god awful. They would just cut. I mean, it's not like that's perfect. I'd actually think they still do it but not as aggressively. They'll cut off a neighborhood, just cut it off a street. Or in one instance, they had this Pontiac community in Pontiac literally dragged in all the way to Detroit. It was 45 miles between. So I get it, but I can tell you the conversation is happening in the chats, and there's a conversation right now. What the are we going to do?
Yeah, no, we got fight fire with fire, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right. I mean, you should see. My colleagues are always like, well, that's not the rules. That's not the process. What the parliamentarian going to say? And this is me. They don't give a shit about the parliamentarian that's unelected. They don't give a shit about process.
They've never
exactly.
cared.
And you should see they bow down to not do the minimum wage because the parliamentarian told you not to do it. And then of course
fire the parliamentarian and reappoint a new one. Dick Cheney did it.
Do what we need to do to protect our residents.
Yeah.
Do what we need to do to protect our residents.
Yeah.
You have to push back against the system and the structures that really weren't built to protect working people or protect
this is why Trump won,
color.
because he said the institutions are not protecting you, and there's truth in that. So
everything he does, they tell him, we're going to get sued. He says, I don't care.
Yeah, he said the institutions don't work for you. F the institutions. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do that. And he, of course, lied. The Democrats, for some weird reason, also lied, of course, but they lied even in the direction of positive
when I
change.
say that, it's the leadership in those that, again, I have no idea why they're not out there really listening to people. They're listening to consultants that has been working for the party since 1990s.
Yeah.
This is not about ageism or anything. This is about people in the school of thought. And again, they are the same people that constantly push, well, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. And again, Democrats are good about trying to keep power and get power. They don't want to use it. When we had the trifecta, we could have got Voting Rights Act. I don't care what anybody says. Manchin wrote an op-ed, okay, we'll see what we're going to do here. You know what I mean? We could have gotten some of the things that are, my pastors came to DC, got arrested for Voting Rights Act. People don't realize they had over 460 voter suppression laws across the country, and we need to do what we need to do. We could have expanded the Supreme. I mean, everybody now is talking about expanding the Supreme Court, Piker. But when I was talking about it, they're like, "Oh my God, Rashida."
Yeah. Do you feel like your colleagues look to people like yourself and even your base of support, which is overwhelmingly popular, like people like myself, people that are outside of the political system, and think we're just like naive or like, what is the attitude?
I don't know. I remember after they censured me, overwhelming. I mean,
that was insane.
It was insane, but also like I was so demoralized because it was 22 Democratic colleagues joined them. It would have never passed but for them. And they knew I wasn't anti-Semitic and everything. They knew what was happening. And at that moment... Yeah,
they censored you for saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
I didn't say it was in a video. It was a very beautiful video of like protests.
Oh, you posed it. You didn't even say it. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter.
But I wasn't going to throw my residents under the bus who do chant it. We grew up, we chanted it because it rhymed. We knew what it meant, but the way they police you.
It's bullshit. It's like,
bullshit.
and it's the same exact, and Democrats do this too, so it gives a little bit more protective cover.
At that moment, the next quarter, I raised almost $3 million.
Yeah.
And they're like, this one Republican-like Texas member was like, "Oh, wow, Talib, good job." I said, "Yeah, there's a lot of anti-genocide money out there. There's a lot of anti-genocide supporters out there that are saying this is bullshit." And I told them, I said, "Look at it. These are $10, $15, $20. This is not like, what they can imagine. You see, it's like 18,000, different people coming together and saying that's bullshit." But they won't move with that base. That 10 will come to us if we move with them, if we have their back.
Yeah.
Instead, right now, they're confused. They're like, I mean, you saw it at the DNC. It's like, we're going to have the most lethal military arm. It was awful.
That was my checkout moment. That's when I was like, we're done. We're cooked.
I gasped.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
I had the same feeling.
Yeah. And no matter what it
was after I got
Obama,
kicked out.
he ran on anti-war. But, Obama, no matter what you feel about him now, but like Obama ran on anti-war. He ran on, we're going to shut Guantanamo Bay. I had a letter on Guantanamo Bay. I couldn't get some of my colleagues to support it.
Yeah.
And you're about to get put in there.
Yeah.
Like, wake up, like shut it down. And even in that moment, I don't know. I know we called it disconnect, but it's stronger than that. It is this like separate world that happens there. My sister knows, like, after the vote, I have to go back. As soon as I land in Detroit Metro Airport, I feel like I can breathe because they try to make it out like we're crazy, that something's wrong with us. But when you get home, they're like, "Good job. Oh, did you do this, Rashida? I need this." And you can see, again, it doesn't match up with what they're presenting or what they're doing.
But like the poll numbers show that. Like right now,
they'll only listen to polls if it meets their special interest donors. Again, Republicans and Democrats right now that are making a lot of decisions that are at the top, these are in leadership positions, their donors match. Almost the same donors.
Yeah. But it's crazy because like they're so unpopular. Democrats are so unpopular right now.
The lowest favorability.
And they should be popular. The Trump administration is incredibly unpopular.
They thought like what happened in 2017 was going to happen, and now they're watching and like, whoa. Yeah.
Remember the conversation that you and I had about protecting our migrant neighbors. Like in that conversation, I explained over and over again, it's something that I've literally told Democratic politicians directly to their faces, where it's like, if you make a big fuss about this, and if you actually counter message on the issue of immigration, then this will be an unpopular issue for the Republicans.
Yes.
And they didn't even do that, and it still became an unpopular issue for the Republicans because people saw, masked thugs coming in and ripping families apart, and they were like, "I don't want this." And now, like the alarm bells are ringing. The fascist alarm bells are ringing. We are knee deep in the waters of fascism. We put so much money into ICE in this last bill. We put so much money into ICE, and now
they got bonuses to recruit people now.
Yeah, and now they're trying to they limited. There's no more age cap. There's no qualifications whatsoever. They're just like, if you're loyal to Trump and you want $50,000 signing bonus and have your student loan debts erased, like come join ICE so you can brutalize brown people on black and brown people on American soil.
But it has to be said, the creation of ICE, even in 2003, in my own backyard, I'm in the border community. I grew up in Southwest Detroit. It's Canadian border's right there, but it's actually Mexican town. It's actually 20 different ethnicities. It's very diverse. Kid you not. Even then, I remember it was 2006. Everybody was like, they're rogue. They don't care about civil rights. They don't care. And I was like, we were finding out they were tracking people jogging around the park. Like, where's your green card? It was crazy. It was militarizing our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so we come out with abolish ICE, and they were like, oh, whoa, what's going on with Southwest Detroit? And even our surrounding Detroiters were like, what are you guys doing? They tried to warn us. The immigrant communities, when ICE got created after 9/11, you saw it. The majority of people getting deported were my Latino neighbors. And it was so aggressive, so violent. That's why, people fought and we won. They repealed it, where you couldn't do, ICE operations near schools. We had to actually put that in there because they kept going into schools or childcare places, or we actually had to put funerals. Don't go to funerals. It was churches, faith-based.
The worst of the mafia, even the mafia doesn't hit the funerals.
But we had to give them guardrails, which
no women and children.
Yeah, it was awful. And I still remember at that moment, it was Obama was the president, and the fighting and the back and forth. It was awful. People, you saw it now, but a lot of people in Southwest were in their homes, so scared to come out. And that was mid 2000s. And now you can see it.
And when they get the funding, they're never going to stop. They're going to only demand more. And this is the thing, Democrats have consistently increased ICE budgets every single time, even though when Republicans are in charge, they're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this. And they stand in opposition to it. But when they're in charge, they increase it.
Hasn't shown to fix no matter what, it actually makes the whole issue.
It's a civil violation.
Exactly.
It's not supposed to be a criminal violation.
They don't want to fix the immigration system, by the way. If they did, because they want people to low-wage workers. They want that.
Yeah.
They're just going to get a whole influx of other people. They benefit by a broken, inhumane immigration system.
Yeah.
The big 1%, the big companies, the industry and the ag, all of them, restaurant industry, hotel industry, they all benefit by a broken, deteriorated, inhumane immigration system.
Yeah, that's why they went to Trump and were like, dude, what are you doing?
Yes.
You're getting a little too racist for us. A little bit of racism is good, so we keep them in a legal limbo, but you can't literally deport them. You're deporting half of our workforce. And that's been the modus operandi so far. I do feel like there are two different forces within the Republican Party, the obvious capitalist forces that want to at least scare people into thinking that immigrants should remain non-citizen.
Yes. I'll give you a story.
And then there's the Stephen Miller contingency that's no, I don't want a single brown person in the country.
I mean, he's white supremacist. So in my community, I was, I'm trying to figure out the patterns from ICE and who they're coming after. And I remember it was a gentleman, he was here for 13 years, just had a baby 5 weeks before. And the family called our office, and I went through the steps. I was an immigration attorney, so I was trying to figure out, okay, he's not in the system, what's going on? And it was later found out that his boss, who didn't want to pay him, called the number.
Oh, yeah.
To get him deported so he didn't have to pay him.
Purdue did this, and all the big ag business and the poultry businesses, they will go, they'll get
if they even think about
undocumented
unionizing,
migrants.
If you think about unionizing, they'll call ICE on their own workers because they don't want that.
Okay. Well, Rashida Talib, you have been fantastic. Thank you so much. It appears that we've run out of time.
That's okay. Thank you for doing the favor at the beginning.
Of course. Anytime.
No, the family never asked me anything. I was like, I'll do this.
No, of course. Yeah. No, it's nothing. And thank you so much for coming on.
No, I appreciate it so much. And thank you for using your platform. I know you don't hear it enough. No, seriously, thank you. Because it's not, of course, about Palestine. It's about these structures and stuff.
Yes.
And folks need to know they're not alone. And I think when they hear us talking, or they feel less alone, okay, it's not me, it's the system, it's the structure. So
no, if our politicians are not going to fight to save American lives, then we're just going to force them to do it anyway. And I don't think they understand that.
People like us need to run for office, but I can tell you, I just hope there's and my DSA siblings that are here know, you got to get out before they chip at your soul. But there needs to be another group of folks there to agitate from inside. Because we can't just not have people, that think like us in these institutions that weren't built for us. I find that even being in there is like a protest. It's like pushing back against, these false narratives and the racist tropes and so forth. Because Congress shouldn't just look differently. If they sprinkle us on for diversity, it should also speak differently and feel differently. And I think the more people that are unbought and totally really corny and want to change the world for the better, and come from a place of love, it needs to infiltrate more into Congress a lot more than it is now.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Really
All
appreciate
right.
it. Do you shake hand? What do you do? Fist bump? My brother. So Adam's gonna kill me for doing that.
No, it's all good.
He's like, Mom. Yeah.
All right.
You're taller than I thought. He is. I don't know, I like
Getting a good angle for us, get our chins on that.
They're higher up. Okay, right here. I'll shoot a couple.
You didn't have to get on the chair before. Hasan, seriously, you didn't have to get on the chair before.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Oh,